Hello, I'm Michael Fries, Features Editor of Transport Topics, and thank you for tuning in to our latest Transport Topics webinar, Transforming Trailer Management with Smart Technology. As supply chains grow more complex, the demand for real-time trailer visibility and actionable insights has never been greater. Today's smart trailer technologies are transforming fleet operations, enabling real-time monitoring of location, cargo status, and trailer health to drive efficiencies and performance. Forward-thinking fleets are already seeing the benefits, from cargo cameras that detect load shifts before a trailer door opens, to systems that enhance asset utilization and improve on-time performance. The results speak for themselves. Proactive trailer management is no longer a luxury. It's a competitive advantage that enhances safety, service, and profitability. With that, let's take this conversation a bit further with these technologies and learn how they're being put to work. Joining me today, we have two guests, Alec Matson, Senior Manager of Procurement at Wayfair, and Mark Whalen, General Manager and Senior Vice President of Product at Phillips Connect. In our executive webinar, we will learn why Wayfair told Phillips Connect, you got just what we need when it comes to smart trailers, what the transformation looks like in practice, and how your fleet can take the next steps toward modernization. So let's get this on the road. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael.
Excited good to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you on. Well, Alec, I want to start. Well, Alec and Mark, this question is for the both of you. Just kind of what I was just mentioning before, just the overall landscape when it comes to smart trailers and the connectivity involved. How do you see that current landscape of that segment of the industry? Where do you see that going? In the near future, and what are those challenges? I'll pose that to you first, Alec.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I give a little background of briefly what we use Phillips for. So I Phillips currently in around 450 of my dry van trailers and my dedicated network there. It's been a good partnership so far. You asked the challenges. Like you said, for me, Wayfair runs a drop ship network, which means I have thousands of suppliers, right, who I have to pick up from, and they own the outbound loading. And with that, that's, when you give up control, that creates a lot of challenges. It creates challenges both for cube management of suppliers taking up more cube than they're supposed to, as well as damages, right? So if you have less control over who's loading your trailers, then those loading practices can lead to damages. So having a technology that can help me get after both those problems is certainly important for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark, I pose that same question from you, from your perspective as a supplier.
Yeah, no, I think that's a real interesting question, especially you mentioned how smart trailers no more a luxury or an option, right? It's a operational imperative to kind of be successful. And we're really seeing more and more customers in this space start to really understand that location and basic utilization was great at one time, but the real opportunity is starting to shift to how do you change the way you operate your business? How do you look at maintenance? And you're seeing this kind of transformation of new opportunities for a lot of our customers that with a smart trailer, they're able to really pursue. So I think you're spot on, Michael, in terms of there's really a lot of opportunity in smart trailer and customers are starting to see it. And Wayfair is one example.
Yeah, a new world is opening up when it comes to trailer connectivity. Alec, let's get into the details of things. With the Wayfair story, every fleet is different when it comes to their needs. What were some of the things that was happening in your view of that company's supply chain? I mean, you've been in the business for a while. You know supply chains and how they run. With Wayfair, what were some of those particular pain points that you were discovering and those challenges that you were facing?
Yeah, sure. So, I mentioned with so much variability of who's loading your trailers, for one is just damages, right? We're a large cube retailer, and large cube with that heavyweight can sometimes cause damages of product, right? So for one was if I do a milk run style pickup, right, which just means multiple pickups at the same time coming back to a warehouse, kind of the old fashioned whodunit, right? Like if product arrives damaged, The only true way to know who did it is oftentimes photos. So, how does technology help me capture those photos to help me identify who may not have loaded a trailer in a correct way, right? And then the second one would be cube. We have, like all shippers, certain amount of cube that we allocate for each supplier to load. And if a supplier loads more cube than they're supposed to, that
Hmm.
obviously impacts me financially. It doesn't allow me to pick up my customers' products
Hmm.
uh, when I'm supposed to. And then I have to pay more money for another driver to go out and pick up that missed pickup. So, and obviously, then there's just a standard of tracking and tracing your trailers in real time visibility is of course a requirement as well. So those three things are the biggest challenges for me as a shipper today.
You know, Mark, if for those challenges, when I'm assuming that Alec came into your door expressing these challenges and wanting a way to find some insight to take these on. What was that conversation like?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, as Alec did, and other customers, right? You start to kind of understand that you're looking for greater insights, right? To the whodunit of the conversation. It's how do I help give Alec and Wayfair access to that, proof of whodunit?
Hmm.
Is there photos? Is there real time visibility that they can check? Can they go back and easily collect a history of that shipment and who touched it at different points so that they can better understand where the challenges may have been, but also improve, right?
Hmm.
And so having that kind of visual insights inside a trailer has become a huge trend where a lot of fleets are starting to realize that, I have location, which I know they're at this particular supplier, but now I can see inside the trailer while they're loading it, while it's being transported, and really get a whole lot more insights. And so all of our customers are looking for greater insights, right? And as
Hmm.
Alec pointed out, the insights are really what drives their opportunities for operational efficiency, for charging back a customer who's taken on more capacity than they expected. But that insights is really the key that everyone's after.
Okay. So the challenges are expressed, and I guess as it was formed, the situation before using the solution, you kind of had those, the inflexible photo captures and things like that, and reconstructing events. Some of those particular challenges that Wayfair is facing. But also in finding that right solution there. I assume that there's been some hurdles along the way, just sort of the placement with the placement of existing solutions, just sort of taking out the old and putting into the new. And when you're switching systems, I know there has to be some type of aches and pains. Where number one, were there, and number two, how did that impact the getting to the solution? I mean,
Yeah,
that question's for you both can answer that.
yeah, no, I mean, for me, look, we like most things, you identify the problem. So we had our problem in our supply chain. We did have, another solution prior to Philips
Hmm.
that we were utilizing, and for us, it was Skybits, right? I think we're allowed to say names, right? No one's getting crazy here. Um,
Go ahead. There's
and
just the three
I
of us.
know, yeah, right. And I know it did a great job for, it can track trailers, yes. But for us, they did have a camera, so we paid additional money for the cargo camera solution. But that technology was very inflexible for when it could take that photo, right? Which
Right.
really is painful then to help tell the story. So if I'm taking photos at times that maybe it skips a supplier because maybe my supplier pickup was really quick, 5 minutes, and if I'm really constricted about when it can take that photo, it might grab pictures when I might have missed a supplier, or again, it makes it hard to tell the story. So that was a big challenge for us. Um, so what the technology we really wanted was to only have the ability to grab a photo when the trailer door opens or closes, right? Because
Hmm.
then you again tell the story, right? I arrived at a supplier. What did the trailer look like? I departed a supplier. What did the trailer look like, right? So That was a challenge with our past provider. And frankly, yes, because of that, we had, and it cost money, right, which is never good. But
Mhm.
we had to make a technology switch to a provider who could meet our needs at that point, which was Philips. Yeah.
Mark, you can kind of elaborate just from your side of things, just some of the things that you've noticed when Alec and Wayfair had come to you with their situation. What was that? Can you take us into that journey?
Yeah, I mean, as Alec kind of explained, one of the things that they really were interested in is how to get insights when it was important to their business, right? And not really be constrained by hardware limitations or requirements. And that's something as Philips Connect has done over the last few years, right, is really started investing on how to bring that flexibility to our customers, right? So as Alex said, when the doors open and close, maybe when the doors open and close, you're in a particular geofence, maybe other types of events you would like to take a photo, or you would like to have real time access to looking inside of a trailer. We've also started investing a lot around the loading and unloading events. So, utilizing vibration or other things to try to show the sequence of events that are going on in that trailer that meets that customer's needs. As in the Wayfair example, doors open and close. What does it look like? Tell me insights when you opened it around what's inside. Is the floor 50% filled? Is the volume 75% filled? Are there other insights that we can provide? And working with Wayfair, we're starting to try to look at how do I give you better insights, right? And what would that be? I think Alec mentioned a little bit about, is there damage in a particular thing? Obviously, if we can tell you it's damaged and it happened at this point, that's ideal. But there are other things that we're in the short term starting to work with Alec on, is really trying to help them find and identify scenarios that might suggest improper loading or use inside that trailer, because then they can get real time feedback to their people, to the suppliers, and then everybody wins, right? The more we
Mhm.
know, the more we can do to make it better.
Mark, you kind of segued into my next question. I was actually, just kind of want to get into the why Wayfair chose Phillips Connect. We're talking about just a lot of the hows and the whats. But one thing I wanted to start with, even before we kind of get into that why, is just sort of the partnership. You kind of alluded to it, just sort of, supporting Wayfair through that journey. Can you just elaborate on just how important that, a partnership is? I mean, you can have that need, but there's also that relationship, that business relationship to grow into something else, to evolve into to other things as well. So I'm pretty sure, just in just from what I'm hearing right now, Wayfair and Phillips Connection has a robust partnership. Can you kind of allude into that and just
Yeah.
sort of the philosophy of that, just working with other suppliers as well?
Yeah, no, I can. And this is a big part of Philips Connect, and kind of as we look at the way we go to market, the way we help our customers. As you said, it is this partnership. It is about bringing industry experience to that partnership. And we really look at the solution that we're delivering today and how we're investing to help them in the future, right? No, nobody wants to choose a solution that meets their needs right now. So maybe it was location, but then they
Mm-hmm.
want to do more with a camera. They want to do more with operational. They want to do more with maintenance. And so it's that partnership that we take with Wayfair that really says, okay, how do I bring my best customer service team to that partnership? How do I invest from a product perspective to provide them that future? It's really difficult to find a company that brings technology, the roadmap, and people skilled in the space, right? Having a team that knows about your industry, and Philips Connect, we focus just on this industry and just
Mm-hmm.
on trailers, right? So when you're working with our team, we live and breathe the exact same thing our customers do, and we're looking at how to make that better. And I think that partnership has been a big plus for Wayfair, because they knew that if they needed us to invest in, we were either already doing it or we're partnering with them to try to get those solutions so that we make better insights for our industry and customers like Wayfair. But the partnership is
Yeah,
key.
I'll add on same kind of point, right? Like over my career, whenever we've invested for whatever retailer I was at in a third party software, they never get it perfect out of the box either, right? No matter how good the product is. So having that relationship to continue to dive in kind of to the minutia or specificity of a retailer like Wayfair in this case, and partner to help us make some of those changes that may be unique to our business, or let me say it may start unique to our business, but then I found it can kind of be marketable to other folks as well, right, as you kind of invest in it. So I certainly can speak to some of those things that they've done already, but certainly been happy with that relationship and willingness to progress as well.
Oh, yeah, yes, most definitely. One of the things, I guess, from anecdotally, personally myself, when I had a chance to visit the Phillips Connect a manufacturing plant in Mexico, and just seeing, the products that we're talking about now, they're helping Wayfair, just seeing those products, being made, and just sort of the care involved, and the investment that was made, definitely to the area, and also to building these products and sending them out. One of the things, Alex, I kind of want to get to that why with choosing Phillips Connect. We talked about the industry experience a little bit, but also just with the way Wayfair is now, it's 450 drive vans, 130 daily drivers. I mean, it's a big operation. 30 million in annual spending, if I'm correct.
You got it. You got it
Okay.
right.
Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of moving pieces there. So what made you guys say, Phillips Connect, you got just what I need.
Yeah. I'd like to think I'm in procurement, right? So I'm supposed to make intelligent procurement decisions. So no, I
Yes.
did a pilot, right? I did a pilot where I didn't just take a person's word for it, right? I actually got the device that shows me when the trailer door opens or closes, and taking photos, as well as monitoring the cube, right? It could tell me to say, hey, this trailer is this status of loading, right? Which is important to me for cube management. So I did a pilot, defined our goals like any good pilot. As I have often reminded, you should define your goals very well. And then after I did that, did an active pilot with the team. I compared that against some other competition. And I mean, that is the why, right? So Phillips passed the test, whether it be cube monitoring, taking the photo when I want it, as well as tracking the trailer, right? Like, so tracking the trailer at real time when I wanted it and accurately was important to me. They outperformed their peers, and that was the major reason why. And then after that, of course, during that, you build up the relationship to see like, hey, this is a team who will invest in me to help improve my technology. But that was the reason why. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that goal. Sort of, the doing the basics well, and meeting all the operational needs. It's a simple goal, but it's one worth leading toward,
And
and there's a lot of pieces and
and
parts.
because the sales guy bought me a cup of coffee one time, right? So
There-
that was another big reason. Yeah.
We're back to relationships. So
There we go. There we go.
there you have it. It's just sort of with just those challenges being addressed. You know, um, what I guess this question is for you, Mark. When it comes to Phillips Connect, the the innovation that's involved. What's coming down the pike for I'm sorry, for Phillips Connect.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we talked a little bit, right? But it's around some of these insights on an operational perspective. How do we
Hmm.
provide better insights if is our load bars being used? Are straps being used? Is there people inside a trailer? Starting to really be able to provide better experiences for claims, right? Being able to actively look at a photo history of your trailer being loaded, unloaded, moving from stop to stop, and use that for your claims reporting, right? Every
Hmm.
organization is being faced with, hey, I believe you damaged this, or there's some claim against your goods. And now the technology can make that very easy. And so we continue to kind of invest in those operational insights. But, I think, as Alex said, a lot of our investment is also driven by customer demand, right?
Hmm.
Listening to our customers, understanding what they need from an operational perspective. If that's
Hmm.
more TMS integration so that they can get real-time insights, if that's better data to help them with dynamic dispatching, right? I mean, for the first time, a lot of organizations, when they take on some of this operational insights with our products, they now have the ability to know, is there a truck in the nearby location? Does it have capacity? Is it easily added additional goods? And they don't have to talk to a single person, right? I've gone to many operations where, you know, the dispatch is getting orders, they're looking around to try to figure out where their guys should be. They're calling the driver and saying, hey, do you have any space in your trailer? I need you to pick up something. And now for the first time, they have all that right at their fingertips, right? Their TMS may even bring together the closest ones with capacity. So then they can choose a specific one and dispatch them real time in the middle of the day. And that kind of insights is super valuable. And so we continue to make those types of investments of insights and in the systems that our customers need so that they can have the data where they need it, such that they can be smarter in their day-to-day business.
Alec, you know, this is the part of the program where our listeners are getting the meat on the bone right here. We just talked about the solution. We talked about the problems. We talked about the solution that the market presented. But I want you, for our listeners that are needing, services such as this and products such as this, what worked well in this partnership, and what were some of the lessons that you learned, and also, you know, just the tips that you would have for those that want to enter this particular situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, again, I'd say damages. It was mentioned damages are a big problem for a lot of retailers. Being able to, if I have a damage, go back, give it. I don't manage that directly, right? I have other folks, thankfully, who do that, but they now are empowered to drill into every photo that they want to look at who might have been the cause of a particular damage, which is fantastic. In addition, I want to talk about queue reporting.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a situation where a certain supplier was supposed to load, let's say 300 cube, and then I have a report that can come from Philips that said, hey, this supplier actually loaded 600 cube, that's incredibly empowering to allow me to try to go back and make some corrections in behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then tracking. We actively are using this software for tracking and tracing equipment in our field. I know real time, they have a really great interface. They give me nice fancy dots going down the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can clearly see where my trailers are. So on my end, they have nailed the three major things that were the reason why I went to Philips in the first place. And there's continued growth, right? I'm excited about some of the other opportunities. Someone mentioned claims, right? Load bars. I want to be able to actively see if a load bar was used or not, or a strap, right? So if we could use machine learning to get ahead of poor load-in practices and have that kind of exception management, it's really exciting stuff. So I've been pleased as a customer thus far, and I look forward to the further journey.
You know, Mark, I kind of want to pose the same question to you from your perspective, and just kind of wanted to see just sort of how relationships like this can work in the future, and what maybe suppliers can do to have a very efficient and productive relationship with other fleets.
Yeah, I think Alec really touched on this earlier. It's about kind of understanding your goals, right? Mm-hmm. That relationship and understanding what you're trying to achieve really allows us both to be successful, right? He has clear understanding of what he wants. We have clear understanding of how we're going to meet those needs. And, that foundation has really what has driven a lot of our relationship at this point and going forward, right? Like there are things that he wants to do that we're going to help him with, right? And it's because he has clear understanding. It's been a huge positive. I think, as customers are looking at working with someone like Philips Connect, right? And they're going through and understanding it, they're really trying to figure out, can they have a partnership? Is this company investing in products for today and tomorrow? because you're making a decision that you would like to keep for the next 5 years. And a lot of times it's like, I'm only interested in this really small, narrow set of stuff today. And what we really want our customers to think about, that's great. Let's get started in a phase one. We'll get that achieved. But where are you going to go? How are you going to look at your operational insights to help your business? And what about maintenance? At some point, you're going to say, hey, I might be interested in maintenance. And you need to make sure that the companies you're working with can satisfy your today's problems, both operationally from a maintenance, from a location perspective, but also tomorrow's, right? Because you're building a long-term relationship. And I think sometimes, that can get lost when people are starting to look at it. And that Wayfair was really, really good. I remember in one of the early meetings, they said, hey, here's all these use cases that I want you to do in the future. And it was a great list of all these things. And at that moment, for me, it was like, wow, these guys really do have an idea of what they want. They're bringing this type of technology at a very operational level. And, we're going to be able to partner and really have some great success. And so far, as I think, as Alex said, we've been doing that. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot more with them as well.
Well, Mark, that's a great way to put a bow on this conversation. We've been speaking with Alec Matson, Senior Manager of Procurement at Wayfair, and Mark Whalen, General Manager and Senior Vice President of Product at Phillips Connect. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on this Transport Topics webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.